Hello guys, and welcome to another video. Today, this will just be a simple showcase of, gonna mix that for a bit. Go put this down, I totally forgot, but I will not edit this out as always. But anyway, I will talk to you about how you can accept user inputs very quickly, okay? So, this will be in vanilla JavaScript and it's for beginners. Of course, one of the ways to prevent one of the common and most dangerous cybersecurity attacks well, in websites or applications, or in this case, JavaScript applications, because we are using JavaScript, okay? So if I just fix this editor problem, okay, there we go. All right. So I just have a simple HTML markup or yeah, markup and styled it to center and just declared the div with the ID of result. So this will show up whatever we type on after pressing submit. We just have a label and an input. And of course, a good practice whenever you're accepting user inputs as much as possible, if we're going to process their input, is to encapsulate this in a form. And you can have many forms only if you handle this using JavaScript. Because if you don't and just rely on the default behavior, which is, the recommended way, is that since most often the forms default behavior is to redirect you to the action attribute. So here the action. So where do you want this form to submit the user input? So what URL, or in this case URI, if you are using your own endpoint or the origin of the HTTPS in this case, if your website is on production. But anyway, okay, I'm getting sidetracked. But yeah, so this is just a simple acceptance of user input. So let's go to the JavaScript code, which is on the right here. So what are we doing here? Well, on the first line, so I think I should expand this. This is just too small. Please wait. Okay, there we go, much better. So in the first line, or on the first three lines, we are just getting the elements, okay, by their ID. So what that does is that this code or the document will access the method in this document element, or yeah, the overall document, which is called the get element by ID. So what this does is it will look through the HTML markup. So it is what we see in the inspect tab, the elements here. It will, I'm not sure the exact method, but I think it's recursive, going to recurse, or it's probably a map. Yeah, storage of maps with specific IDs. Okay, I'm getting sidetracked again, but yeah. So it will look through the elements in this markup. Oh, okay, I found the element with the attribute of ID. So here, and its attribute of ID rather is, or the value of that is equals to result in here. Okay, so that means this is the element. We stop that and return that element and whatever variable is assigned to that. So in this case, the variable is named display. Okay, and the same for the other elements. So we have the input, which is here right here with the ID of username. Okay, here, and then the button, or here rather, and then the button or the submit button in this case, or the trigger for submission with the ID of submit. Okay. If you notice here, we have a variable named HTML entity map, and it is an object so that we can access the properties or the key pair values instantly. We don't have to look through them one by one, and it will save us time. Okay. So here for each symbol, for example, less than, we just get the value of that or the equivalent value of that in HTML entity. So what are HTML entities? Well, they are just, let's say the code, I think. Yeah, the equivalent code for a specific symbol. It's pretty much it. Mm. But yeah, it's just a conversion. So anyway, HTML will enter interpret this as the less than symbol and this as the greater than symbol, so on and so forth. So I think this is decimal or hex. No, I'm not sure. Okay, let's try to check that out. Okay, here the Holy W3 schools, but just remember that this is for HTML4, but we're just saying the what's called. Okay. So this one, the one that starts with and without the X is decimal. Okay, so this is the entity and this is decimal. Okay. All right. And here we go, we got this. All right, so that's pretty much it. So HTML will interpret that specific code into a specific symbol if it exists. Okay. So that's how we're going to prevent, or at least one of the measures to prevent XSS attacks. And what are XSS attacks? Well, let me show you real quick. I think I should have started with that, but anyway, let's see. I'm not really sure how this can be done in my case, but let's try. If we do this, then that means, and with the inner HTML, that means this will be parsed as an HTML. Okay. And since this is enclosed with angle brackets, that means this is an HTML element. So if we click submit, there we go. It is parsed as an HTML element. So now I'm not sure about console log. I think it's not working. Let's just try. Script. Maybe an alert. Alert. Success. Yeah, it doesn't work. It's pretty weird. I'm not really good at XSS, like, hacking stuff. Hmm. What's the way? Wait, let me try to search it up. Okay, so I found a good snippet for that. Okay, I'm very inexperienced when it comes to injecting scripts. So anyway, there's a good snippet. So one way, okay, so it's actually enclosed in the iframe, right? So right here, source, yeah. Or so instead of a self-enclosing tag for the iframe, right? Okay. So what's happening here? Well, I think I should actually expand the HTML input first. So I said this will be really quick, but okay. uh, or we can just change this to a text area instead. There you go, much better. Now, wow, okay. Height, uh, maybe a trim with background. Okay. Why is the height not being adjusted? And why did the button just disappear? Oh, oh, it's because we are not closing it. Okay, there we go. Okay, much better. So let's see what's happening here. It's very, there we go. So we are just adding an iframe, which is pretty much like we try to embed a website inside the website. Okay, so the source would be like, where is this website located? And the source doc would be the contents of that website, I guess, somewhat. Okay, and we're just injecting a script tag inside that iframe. Here we're just saying that we want to declare a variable name secret with a value here. Okay, and just alert that to the website that's calling this script. So in this case, it's pretty much this right here, this web page. So if I try to submit that, we will get this right here. And what's dangerous about this is, for example, a user tries to collect cookies. Okay, so there's a script, for example, wherein like we get the document cookie, so const cookie equals to document dot cookie. So if we try to alert cookie, let's see the value that we get. We get an error. Okay. So I guess one way to do this is one times loaded. eh? Oh, okay, that's interesting. But yeah, somewhat like that. See how inexperienced I am in this field? But yeah. And for example, if you're not sanitizing this, especially on the back end, and if this is submitted, then that this piece of code or snippet will then populate your server. And if, for example, that this input right here relies, or rather, this input right here is actually sent out to other clients, then that means this will be injected inside the HTML of other clients and thus executing the script right here, which is failing on my end. Okay, but yeah, what else? Oh yeah, then one way to avoid that, okay, we're taking very long, is to use the HTML entity map, or rather, by escaping those angle brackets and such, which can be considered as an HTML element, or rather, which is what composes an HTML element, to escape that into its HTML entity values or HTML code, which can be decimal, hex, or entity. Okay? Because with the entities, that means HTML will parse your, well, HTML to be text. In this case, the n greater than and less than is considered as text. Okay? So what is happening here in this function? Well, we are going to take in the string as a parameter, and the built-in function or method for a string, because this is pretty much a class behind the hood, and there are various methods for each type of data type, I guess. In this case, one of them is replace. So what does replace does? What does replace do? Well, it will take in a parameter of a regex, which is a regular expression, and I'm not that good with it, but I will walk you through how this has happened. So a regex, so if any of this matches for all the string, so this is pretty much the same as looping through the string or through the characters of a string one by one. And this is somewhat of a shortcut, okay? If the string or if the character that the regex is currently at is matches the ampersand, I think it's called ampersand, yeah, angle brackets, or quotes, or single quotes, or backslash, or forward slash in this regard, okay? Then we want to do this. Also, the letter G is pretty much global, so that means do this for all the items. So that means for all the characters in the string, okay? And this is pretty much what kind of item do we want, what kind of character do we want the character that matched any of this to be replaced with. So here we can take in a function wherein the parameter would be equal to the value that matched or to the character that matched. So for example, the ampersand matched, okay? So I should actually have an end here, but, or ampersand, but I don't know the HTML of that yet. But anyway, so if for example, the angle bracket matched, then we'll take that here and we'll just map it, or rather access it through bracket notation. Okay, so take this object and access its key with the value of, for example, greater than angle bracket. And we will get this, access this, get its value, and that is what's going to be returned by this function or closure. Then that's going to be the value of, or the swapped value of the greater than symbol, angle bracket. Okay, so that's pretty much it. So if you check that out, oh, what am I doing? I should grab that back. And voila. As you can see, it's just referenced as a text. Beautiful. Okay, so let's try that again. There we go. Okay, So let me walk you through how it's happening wherein we click submit, it's shown up. So we just attach an event listener. So the browser will listen for events for a specific element, which is this right here, the submit button, this button here, okay? And it takes in two parameters. The first one will be what kind of event do we want to listen to? In this case, the click event, whenever a user clicks on the button, okay? And when the user clicks on the button, we will run the closure inside the second parameter, okay? Is it really closure? Yeah, I think it is because we're making a new function inside of a function, which is this right here, right? Yeah, okay. Anyway, so in this function, what we are doing is pretty much getting the value of the input here, in this case, the text area. So this is another property in the DOM because elements are pretty much just objects, or in this case, classes, okay? So if we console log the input, uh, oh, of course we won't see it. Maybe the letter E. So this is the event for the button. So all the DOM here is pretty much just objects. Okay, so we have various properties or such. I'm not sure how to get the object equivalent of elements, but I'll search more about that. Anyway, so what we're doing here is just assigning the inner HTML of the display element to be equal to whatever the value of the input is. And we're escaping that, okay? And one way to prevent really the error is to just say text content instead of inner HTML so that you won't have to escape the HTML. So that means this value right here will be parsed as text, okay? Not as HTML. So if we just try that out, there we go, it's the same result. But most of them you would want, of course, the inner HTML, much like JSX, because the JSX is pretty much just syntactic sugar, and it is still being parsed by a parser, like React DOM, okay? Anyway, it's pretty much it, how you can simply, and I made it somewhat complicated, I know, accept user inputs. Okay, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a good day and good luck on your development journey. Happy learning.